morning. God bless. Welcome to another edition of the Political Heat. With yours truly, Dan Adams, here on this Thanksgiving week, Monday, November 24th, 2014. I want to get right into it. Mayor Rudy Giuliani was on MSNBC, and he was basically had a shouting match with Eric Dyson about the situation in Ferguson. And Mayor Giuliani brought up a very good point about the issue of black-on-black crime. And once again, these so-called black leaders like Eric Dyson and the such seem to not take an advantage, not take that opportunity to speak upon that very, very, I would say, fluent and awful situation that's going on in the black community. Black on black crime. So he basically twisted it and shouted and basically blamed the white man for everything else and anything that the black man does. Okay. Black men who kill black men or black women or black babies, there isn't a white man's finger behind that trigger. So please, step up, call out your black people for what they're doing. I'm calling them out right now, my fellow black people. Stop killing each other. Stop killing each other. Don't make it seem like there's an epidemic of white policemen killing black men. There isn't. But there is an epidemic of black people killing black people. Wake up. Seek God. Pray. How about we do some of those things? How about we suggest some of those things to help out this epidemic of black-on-black crime? How about we do that for once? Secondly, I want to talk about, of course, Obama's executive amnesty, and I happened to be trolling and strolling through the web, and I seen that they supposedly possibly might censure President Obama. Excuse me, Emperor Obama. I should never call him a president because no president. That's just a slap on the wrist. Don't even do it. You're just gonna waste taxpayers' dollars again because nothing's gonna happen. So please, don't even do it. If you're gonna do something serious, do something serious. And censure isn't. Thirdly and finally for today, I'm gonna let a constitutional scholar and expert who basically said that the Constitution is reaching its tipping point in America. And that's from a liberal, Obama-backing constitutional expert and scholar, Jonathan Turley. Here he is on the Megyn Kelly Show, the Kelly File. Roll the tape.
Well, as the president tries to defend his executive action on immigration as within his power, the Department of Justice has released a letter from what it calls 10 of the top legal scholars from colleges across the country. But when we dug deeper, we found one big issue with the administration's panel of experts. Trace Gallagher has that part of our investigation from our West Coast Bureau. Trace?
Megyn, in their 1.5-page letter, the first thing these 10 law professors wanted to make crystal clear is that they don't always see eye to eye, writing, quoting, "While we differ among ourselves on many issues related to presidential power and immigration policy, we are all of the view that these actions are lawful. So while the professors emphasize their differences, we think it's important to know what they have in common. Of the 10 law professors who wrote the letter, 7 of them are registered Democrats. 2 others live in states that don't release party affiliation, but both of those professors donate money exclusively to the Democratic candidates. And the lone Republican on the list, Professor Eric Posner, is also an exclusive Democratic donor and has repeatedly written that when it comes to executive authority, President Obama can literally, quote, do whatever he wants. 3 of these law professors work at the University of Chicago. That's, of course, where President Obama taught constitutional law for 12 years. Also on the list, Professor Lee Bollinger, the president of Columbia University, where Obama did his undergraduate work. Bollinger is directly involved in the effort to make Columbia the site of the Obama Presidential Library. Then there's Duke University professor Walter Dellinger III. He served in the Clinton administration and is close close friends with Supreme Court Justice Elena Kagan, nominated by President Obama. Finally, there is Harvard Law professor Lawrence Tribe, who not only served as a mentor to Barack Obama at Harvard Law School, but also called him, quote, the best student I ever had and the most exciting research assistant. Tribe isn't just a teacher, mentor, and friend. He also campaigned for President Obama. So while the White House touts these legal scholars' prominence, it's their neutrality that comes into question. Megyn.
You think? Oh, I mean, that's genuinely amusing. Trace, good to see you. Well, there you have it. I mean, they have spoken. Well, just days ago, right here in the Kelly File, I sat down with yet another very well-respected liberal legal scholar, George Washington University law professor Jonathan Turley. He's a nationally recognized expert in constitutional law, testifying in front of Congress on several occasions and contributing to leading journals at Cornell, Duke, Harvard, Northwestern, and the University of Chicago, among others. Shockingly, they did not call him, because he has a very different opinion on executive power and has been warning that America is reaching a tipping point. Good to see you again, Professor. And so you have spoken out about this through President Bush's years and now through President Obama's years, and talked about the rise of an Uber presidency. Is the president, in your view, about to violate the separation of powers if he goes ahead and does this?
Well, Megyn, we're waiting for the details, but what I'm hearing certainly causes great concern that he will again violate separation of powers. The Supreme Court has already ruled that this president has violated the separation of powers. It just took another case a week ago in the ACA Obamacare area about whether he had another violation in that area. And this certainly raises the same profile. The president's expressing frustration that Congress is not doing what he thinks Congress has to do. But of course, he's a different branch, and we have three branches in this system. And no president can take on the powers of all three branches, and that's what he seems to be doing. He certainly seems to be taking on legislative authority. He hasn't been particularly coy about this. You know, he says, this is what I wanted to get out of legislation, and I'm going to do it on my own. And that does become a government of one.
Right. I mean, he had control. The Democrats did of the House and the Senate. He didn't prioritize this. He didn't push for it. And when the Democrats lost the House, years after, he decided to push for it, and he couldn't get it through. It's not like he's never believed that this is within Congress's authority. He tried. Congress said no. And who are these congressmen? Not just some random people who, I don't know how they wound up in Washington. They're the people's representatives. They get a vote. Their vote was no. And now he's just so irritated. He said, well, too bad. I'm going to do it on my own. How can that be? How can that be allowed?
Well, it's a very sad moment, but it's becoming a particularly dangerous moment if the president is going to go forward, particularly after this election, to defy the will of Congress yet again. I can understand the frustration. These are obviously two parties that are not getting along. But as you said, we do have a democratic process. We have a Congress that is coming in with the full voice of the American people behind them. That's what an election is. Now, you may disagree with the outcome, but you have to respect the outcome. What the president is suggesting is tearing at the very fabric of the Constitution. We have a separation of powers that gives us balance. And that doesn't protect the branches. It's not there to protect the executive branch or legislative branch. It's to protect liberty. It's to keep any branch from assuming so much control that they become a threat to liberty. I tell a lot of my friends on the Democratic side is that we will rue the day that you helped create this Uber presidency. It's been developing a long time, but is reaching a very dangerous point. This will not be our last president. And you may not agree with the next one, but what the Democrats are creating is something very, very dangerous. They're creating a president who can go it alone. And to go it alone is something that is the very danger that the framers sought to avoid in our Constitution.
To those who say many presidents have issued executive orders on immigration, none this sweeping, none near this sweeping, what say you?
Oh, this would be unprecedented, and I think it would be an unprecedented threat to the balance of powers within our system.
So until next time, God bless you and yours. Thanksgiving week, give thanks to the Almighty for all that you have. I know I am. Peace.